What's up, everyone, and welcome to what is likely to be the last episode of Cheeseheadz Weekly. Yep, I dropped it on you right there, and I realize there's probably not many of you listening, so maybe I don't have to explain this, but I feel like if there are regular listeners that maybe I should just, give an explanation. You may have noticed I've skipped weeks here and there. Part of that is just a lack of motivation to do the show anymore. And it's not that I'm not into sports. I would say I'm just as much into sports as I was other times. Maybe just don't want to put the work into the production and everything of the show. This has been a one-man type of thing. And, it's been something that I've done just for fun as a hobby. And I've enjoyed doing it for the most part. And to me, if I get to the place where I'm not really enjoying it and I'm not getting any other benefits from it really, other than, just the practice of speaking into a mic, then there's not a whole lot of reason for me to continue doing it. And I did finally get a job, so less time around, which is, I'll just say I'm very thankful to have a job. And, it's way better than sitting around doing nothing all day every day. So that is not the reason I'm stopping this, but it's part of the reason. And there's other things I can be doing for sure that I would kind of like to do a little bit more of, and this will take some time out of my schedule. I have a lot of evenings I'm busy, and the ones I'm here, there's other things I would maybe like to do as well. So this is likely the last episode of the show unless I decide to start it up in the future. Episodes will stay up. I'm not deleting anything. I will keep my social media accounts, including the one on X, just probably will not be as active. I'll hopefully, continue to support some of the people that have supported me throughout this experiment, I guess you could say. But yeah, really, it's not something that is growing a whole lot. And is not going to unless I, try to spend a bunch of money, and maybe that's not even going to happen. I'll never get my money back out. So, the sports industry is pretty saturated at the moment. And so, and again, that was never really the goal of this. Of course, it was kind of a dream, but it was never really the goal. And I knew with the work I was putting in, not much, that nothing was likely to come of it. And so I'm grateful for everyone that did give their support and listen to the show, and it's been fun. But now we're going to wrap up the 2024 season for the Green Bay Packers and, I guess kind of end this thing. So we could say this was a disappointing season, and most Packers players, guys in the locker room would say that this was a disappointing season because the expectation for the Packers always, at least the expectation they set for themselves, is Super Bowl, and they did not get there this year. One and done in the playoffs. They lose to the Eagles in the wild card round. Just the game really encapsulated the season as a whole. And I realize this is not, this is a kind of a late reaction to that game. But to me, that game really encapsulated the whole season. Just, killing themselves and, good moments, not good enough. And came up short at the end and basically fell behind immediately, trying to catch up. And that is what we saw time and time again, specifically against the good teams they played against, and never beat any of those teams. Defeated the Houston Texans. I believe that's the only playoff team they defeated during the season. And only had one win against the division against the Chicago Bears. Lost one of those games and almost lost another one, probably should have. So it really was just it was a disappointing season, but there is excitement moving forward. We still have Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney locked up for the long-term future. Those two have emerged as key pieces to this team and were that during last season. And, of course, you have young guys that will hopefully continue to develop And, Jordan Love also continuing to develop. You have some of the receivers that can continue to develop as well. And so certainly there is optimism that the Packers could continue to improve. And, I firmly believe that they are in the in their Super Bowl window as of now. So we'll get into not really the game, but really the season, and I want to give my players of the season. I have 3 on offense, 3 on defense, like I normally do for the games, but this time for the season, give some overall season stats. Number 1 on offense is Josh Jacobs. Clear and obvious. It's not even close to me. He had 301 carries, 1,329 yards, 15 touchdowns on the ground, average 4.4 yards a carry. Behind, I might add, an offensive line that was not really graded well in run blocking by PFF. And yet Josh Jacobs was one of the best runners in the NFL, just proving how great a player he really is, and broke about the most tackles of any running back in the league. He was just phenomenal, and he's not going to be up there with Saquon and some of those guys, maybe even Derrick Henry, but as far as impact to the Packers, he meant really everything to this offense this season. And when the passing game really struggled for Green Bay at times, was very inconsistent, I would say, and never really found their footing, and that was part of their downfall offensively. But Josh Jacobs, kept things going and absolutely did his part on the ground, and of course finished with 36 receptions for 342 yards and his first career receiving touchdown through the air as well. So doing a little bit of everything, and Josh Jacobs was a huge addition and will continue to be a huge part of this team moving forward. Number 2, I have Tucker Kraft on here. A huge breakout year for Tucker Kraft. 50 receptions, 707 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Was a tackle-breaking machine at the tight end position. I believe he had the most in the NFL this season by a tight end, and was just a phenomenal breakout that not everyone saw coming, but he beat out Luke Musgrave for the starting job. Then, of course, Musgrave got hurt and never really made an impact this season. Hopefully, I'm clearly still high on him, and I know the Packers are as well. And hopefully he'll develop into a weapon as well. But Tucker Kraft has truly developed into a two-dimensional, run blocking and pass catching tight end. Can do a little bit of everything and do it all at a high level. So Tucker Kraft, another stud for Green Bay, young stud that will be here for a while. And number 3, the Packers' star right tackle in the making, very quietly so, but Zach Tom finished 4th among tackles per PFF. I'm not sure if it's just tackles. I think it's just tackles, maybe right tackles. I'm not sure, but it feels like he was one of the best in the league and ranked 4th, 87.6 PFF grade. And he was named a first-team All-Pro by PFF as well. Really a phenomenal season for Zach Tom, and marred by 1 or 2 bad games towards the end. Otherwise, it would have finished even better, but still a tremendous season for him. And he, is only going to continue to get better. Another very young stud for this Green Bay Packers offensive line and offense as a whole. We'll transition to the defense here. And number 1, again, another free agent addition, and this one is easy. Xavier McKinney, 88 tackles, a sack, 8 interceptions, and 11 pass breakups. Just an incredible season, really kind of a breakout year for him, and he had plenty good seasons with New York, but he really just turned it on to an even higher level and developed into a leader for the Packers on the defensive side of the ball. Great for the locker room, great for the guys there, and was a huge part of the defensive success by the Packers this year, who didn't really have a ton of actual standout stars. Some of the young guys stood out, but of course they had their ups and downs as younger players. And Rashawn Gary kind of took a step back from what we've seen some of the years he's been with Green Bay. And so really it was Xavier McKinney that was the real star of this defense. This new Jeff Hafley defense that finished very, very respectably as a defense in the National Football League. Excuse me, voice is a little bit dry here, or throat is a little bit dry, I guess you could say. Number 2 on this list is a rookie linebacker in Edgerrin Cooper, 87 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 13 tackles for loss, and that was the key stat for him. You saw him often on run defense, making impact play after impact play, and again, like Matt LaFleur said, sky's the limit for him. Tons of potential, certainly made plenty of mistakes as well, ups and downs, but the wow plays were there for sure in abundance for Edgerrin Cooper, and he is likely to be, kind of maybe what they hoped Quay Walker could be. And obviously Quay Walker had a decent season as well, especially right before the injury at the end of the year. Was looking pretty good there. We'll see if he pans out or not. I still am high on him, but, you got to cut him loose at some point. But Edgerrin Cooper, fantastic rookie season and already one of the best players on this Packers defense as a rookie. Number 3 here is Rashawn Gary. Again, like I said, took a step back from, 2021 and some of the production he's had in the past, specifically rushing the passer. He did finish with 47 tackles, 7.5 sacks, led the Packers in sacks, and also had 9 tackles for loss. It was, somewhat disappointing, especially towards the beginning of the year. And even towards the end of the year, Packers as a whole, their main issue was struggling to rush the passer. Jalen Hurts had way too much time at times in that game. And, their run defense was very good. But Rashawn Gary and company struggled to get to the quarterback, but Rashawn Gary did do it at the highest level for Green Bay. And also, I believe, played pretty well in the run game as well and contributed to the great run defense that the Packers had. So Rashawn Gary is on this list just above Evan Williams for me, another rookie who is, of course, going to be here for a while and should be very good for the Green Bay Packers. So wrapping up here, this is a very short episode, and like I said, I just wasn't feeling a huge push to get on here, and that's why it's been so late. A disappointing year, to be sure. I'm not really worried about it, to be honest with you. Things have happened recently and in my life, and so I have more things to do, and that's a great thing for me. And so, but I just want to thank all my supporters. I really appreciate doing this. I am a little bit sad to be ending this for sure, but that's where we are at this point, and I knew I wasn't going to do it forever, and it's just about finding that point, when it's all going to end, and it appears that this is the end. So I just, like I said, want to thank everyone for their support, listenership, and I just really appreciate all that. And as far as the Packers, I will continue to follow them very closely. Won't be sharing that as much with the general public, but, there's plenty of other shows out there you can watch. And like I said, this is not a huge community whatsoever anyway. So, and of course, if any of you that have, on X have shows or whatever, you can continue to hit me up. I would love to be a guest on another show, and I continue to enjoy talking ball always. But, just the work of the production of the show and everything, it's gets a little bit, I guess, you know, it's not really hard work, but it's, I lack motivation to do it at this point. So I guess this is the end. The Packers will be back next season. Be sure to stay tuned. Now it's the off season and all the fun that brings as well. So I will, I guess, not talk to you later. But thanks for listening, everybody, and go Pack Go.